Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. We're going to have a little discussion today, and it stems from a recording that I made a couple months ago where I kind of hinted about a job that I had where I worked with a bully, and that I quit that job because of that. And I mentioned just a few things of that in the recording, and I said I was going to deal with that in a later recording and talk about what happened. And I decided over the last few days that maybe now was the time to discuss it, get it over with, get it out of my mind again, so I can move forward, because it really, really did affect me. I had never worked with such a person before. I had never had that experience, and it was quite a challenge. And I ended up doing what I felt was best for me, okay? So let me just show you that. First of all, I sat down the other day and I was writing. This is not a dialogue, not a script. It's where I wrote down ideas of things that I wanted to cover with you. But then I thought, this is way too long, too involved, and you really didn't need to have all the minute details of what occurred. So I did away with that. I gleaned through there, and then I came up with another little 4 pages of information. And I read through this, and it was basically good ideas, but very disorganized. So I kind of cast that aside. And I came up with an outline that I'm looking at right now in front of me that will keep me focused, I hope, so that I can cover what I want to cover with you and not have it take quite a long time, okay? First of all, let me just say that this all happened within the last 8 months or so. And I worked for a Christian-based healthcare system here in Florida. They were, whatever, #1 in the healthcare systems within the state. They are a very, very good healthcare system. I still profess that. I worked for them about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and no, I worked for them about 6 years ago. And I did patient registration for them. I had worked at a couple of different hospital locations within the area, and I transferred around from like department to department doing the same type of work, and with the same hospital system. I liked working for them. I liked the fact that they were Christian-based, and they cared about their people. They cared about the patients. And I'm not medically trained in any way, but the way that I could be a caregiver to the patients that I enjoyed doing was by doing some clerical type work. I registered patients for services, whether to be admitted into the hospital or for certain tests that they had to go through, and they chose to come to the hospital to do those tests. So I did that for about 6 years before I met my husband. And shortly after we met, and then we moved forward to making plans to get married, he suggested that I retire. He was retired, and he wanted me to be retired along with him. So I thought, at that time I was only working part-time, so I didn't think that sounded like a bad idea. So I retired. And for the first 5 years of marriage, we did a lot, we traveled a lot, we were busy constantly. There was always something to do, okay? And it was, well, what would you say, we were enjoying newlywed bliss, okay? But after, about the 5th year, our pace slowed down a little bit, and I started thinking back to, it might be nice to work again. I missed working around other people, I missed what I did, and of course the money wasn't bad either. So I thought, I have some worth out in the workplace. And so I started looking for a job again at the hospital system. And I got hired into a location in Lake Mary, a family practice. It was a little bit different. I had worked for the hospital setting previously doing patient registration, but then I got hired into it was kind of like a branch of the hospital, medical group in Lake Mary. It was a family practice. And I thought, well, this is good. It's going to be smaller, same type of work, still seeing the patients, taking care of the patients' needs. And I went for it. The pay was still the same. It was still the Christian-based facility, and I thought I was returning to the same type of work environment that I enjoyed working in previously. But it turned out that I was wrong in that, okay? It turned out not to be a very healthy place to be working, not because of the medical staff. The doctors that worked there were fantastic. They genuinely cared about the welfare for their patients, and the patients loved them. The medical staff, same thing. Very skilled. They cared about the patient's well-being, and the patients loved them too. And within the clerical staff, of which I was one, I worked at the check-in desk, which was the front desk of the clinic, and then there was another group of clerical people doing checkout right behind us. Those people, wonderful. You know, they took care of the patient's needs and laughed with them and joked with them as they exited. You know, made it a good feeling for coming into the clinic. I tried to do that too when people came into me to be registered for their doctor visits. People would be nervous sometimes, you know, they'd be sick, and you just try to put them at ease, make them feel comfortable and welcome there, okay? I loved doing that work, I really did. But I worked with somebody in that front office that turned out to be quite a workplace bully. She treated everybody like they worked for her. They had to do things her way, pretty much. And if you tried to branch away from that, then you were doing it not right, okay? Not that you were doing it wrong, you were just not doing it the right way. And it's not that I was that independent, but you know, after you're at a place for a little bit of time and you do things on your own there, you develop shortcuts of doing things, or maybe a different way of doing something that works out better for you. And that's how I was. I was at that point. And there were a lot of things that I did that, and we'll call her C, okay? That was the gal that I worked with. C did not like a lot of the things that I did in the end, or things that I said to the patients, or how I talked to the patients, or to the other co-workers. She just, for some reason, did not like what I was doing. And she was very verbal about it to me and to other people in the clinic, the other workers. She complained about me to the other workers. I know that for a fact. And made it very rough on me at many different occasions. There were times when she'd be so upset with me or something that somebody else in the front happened to do that she would turn her back on us, not talk to anybody in the front area for the day or a couple days. She'd check in patients and talk to them a little bit. But after she was done with them, she would not converse with us. She wouldn't even look at us. She would turn her back to us, keep focused on her terminal, and she'd maybe be surfing the internet, or she would be playing games on her phone. And that was acceptable. The manager knew this was happening and did nothing. Let's see, I was there for about 90 days when it really got rough. And prior to that, when you're new at an office, you have a 30-day appraisal, a review, whatever, and a 60-day review, and then a 90-day appraisal. And my 30 and 60-day reviews had been wonderful. I was nearing the 90-day, and everything just went real sour real fast. We were at a point when C was not talking to me, and at that point I was the only one working at the front desk, and her. So we were working together, but really we weren't working together. She did her thing, and I was left to do my thing. There had been another gal working the front desk when I first started, but I found out later that she had actually given her notice because of the way that C had been treating her and wanted to quit, but the manager talked her into staying, as if she would just stay until somebody new was hired in to take her place, and then she would be moved to the back to do checkout, which would get her a little bit of a distance away from C. That was agreeable to her, and then voila, I came on the scene, and I was the one to come to work at the front desk so she could go to the back. I missed her at the front because when it was just C and me working there, it became, most days, pure hell, okay? That's all I can say. It really was very difficult. And during a really bad period of time, I went to talk to the manager, It was before my 90-day review, and I asked her outright, because of things that C had told me, I said, do you have any issues with my work? You know, I'm just wondering if there's any problem at all, if you see that I need some help with something in some area. And she assured me that no, I was doing just fine. I was doing exactly what she expected me to be doing at that point of my employment. There was no problem in her mind. Okay? So I then proceeded to tell her that I was having difficulties working with C, and why. And she shared with me that she knew that C had some issues. She was working with C on some control issues that she had. And I thought, great, this is happening, and she knew about it. And these were exactly the same issues that I was having with her. I was frustrated. I was a little angry, definitely upset, but what could I do? The manager told me that she would discuss the situation with C, and I believe she did. I didn't know it happened, but I believe she did, because a few days later things were kind of heading back to normal at the front desk. But it would continue that way for a couple months more, where it would be good for a while and then bad for a while, and then good again for a little while, real bad for a while, and then good again. It would go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was like a cyclical issue with C working with me. So finally, I went to HR. I called one of the HR reps, Human Resources, and I just asked if there was any type of training available, any type of video that might be available that I could watch that would help me learn how to deal with somebody like a workplace bully. And I explained the situation, what I was going through. And they said no, they really didn't have anything, but I should talk things over with my manager. And I told them that I had, but things were not changing on a more consistent basis. So they suggested that I could possibly talk to the director and see if there was anything that could be done in that realm of things. And I just thought, no, the director was like the big boss. The director was my boss's boss type of thing, and I thought, I don't want to talk to that person. I didn't even know who she was, really. So I just told them, no, I'll go back to my manager and we'll discuss it again. So no problem. Left it at that. And after a while, I guess I figured out that it wasn't that I was doing something wrong. It was just the fact that I was there. And I was not allowing C to have total control of what I did on a daily basis at work. You know, I didn't let her control what I said to the patients, or how I interacted with the patients, how I did my registrations, how I prepped my desk for work that day or for the next day. I did not let her control my actions at work. And I think that threw her over the deep edge. I really do. It all came to a real big head one day when we had a temporary employee working in the office with us, because we had such a load of patients coming in. We needed the help from a temp. And this is a temp that had not been in the office before that I knew of. All the time that I had been there, that temp had never been there. And C took the position of, whenever there was a temp coming in to work with us, she would kind of show them the ropes, you know, explain to them how we did things. And more or less she would be training them in. That's how it looked. And she was talking to this person who was right next to me and telling them a little blurb of information. And it was a verbal threat of harm. And I took it as a verbal threat to me because of what was said and how it was said and where it was said. Right at the front desk, in front of patients that were in the lobby even. And it was like, what? So, yes, I took it as a threat, seriously, for bodily harm to me. And I even thought, there's a possibility she might even just do damage to my car. She knew what my car looked like. She knew where I parked in the parking lot. And yeah, I really expected her to do something. That night I went home and I told William, I told my husband what had happened, what had been said, and right away he said, you are not going back there. You don't have to work. You're not going to work in that office any longer. And I just told him that, you know what, I felt I had to go back and talk to the manager and see what could be done, that I had really had enough of that treatment and the talk around me. And I wanted to know if there was any place else that I could go to work. You know, I wanted to work. And that was how it ended that evening. I was going to go in the next day and talk to the manager and see what could be done. Went to bed, got up the next morning, got ready for work. I was all set to go. I could not make myself leave. I could not get myself out of the house to go to work. So, I work early hours, and the only way that you can contact the manager at the early hours that I needed to was to just call and leave a message. So I did that. I left her a message and explained the situation, what had been said, how I took it, and that, you know, it was very upsetting. And I told her I was calling out sick that day, and I was going to be contacting HR to see what my options were at that point. After I left that message, I called the HR rep that I had talked to previously, like about a month prior. And I left a message there too, and told her what had happened, why I was taking the day off, and I was asking her, what are my options at this point? I don't feel this is a safe place for me to continue working. So, shortly after 8 o'clock, I got a call back from the HR rep, and she informed me that I was put on administrative leave, paid leave, and they were going to be undergoing an investigation into the situation. And I thought, oh great, I didn't know that was going to come about. I really didn't. I apologized for causing such a scene, but I said I just couldn't take it anymore. And I couldn't. I had reached more than my limit. I'd had enough. And she assured me there was no problem, but in a few days somebody would be calling me back to let me know what was determined. Okay. Things that I told that gal, she came across to me like she understood what I was saying, what I was talking about, and she was very empathetic, and I appreciated that. Now, when I heard back from another HR manager a few days later explaining what the investigation discovered, it was a totally different story. Okay. The HR person at that point told me that, yes, they did an investigation. They interviewed a few people at the office, and their determination was that both C and I were at fault. And I thought right away, you know, she kept on talking and I just lost it there. I wasn't following what she said. I just thought, how am I at fault? You know, and then I don't even know what she said after that point, but I said, can you explain to me how you determined that I am at fault for what happened to me? Well, she couldn't. And I said, I guess I don't understand. I said, what did I do to cause C to talk to me the way she did, to act in front of me the way she did, to treat me the way that she did? What did I do or say to make that happen? Well, she couldn't answer me, but it was my fault too, you know. Now that I think about it later, yes, it still upsets me because I was just working. I was doing my job, you know, but it upset C, the way that I handled things. And then she retaliated against me because of that. That's my understanding. So anyway, the rep told me that the manager informed her that, yes, she would like me to return to the office to, you know, continue working, and that she would work with C and me to make sure that things are smoothed over and nothing like this happens again. And I just thought, I tried that before, you know, I did, and nothing helped. So I said, that is definitely not an option. I do not want to return to that office. I've been through enough. I had reached my limit. I did not want any more of that treatment. So then the HR rep said, well, we will put you on leave and you can check the job listings and find another position within the hospital setting or the healthcare system. And I thought, okay, I'll try that, you know, so that's the way it was left. And yes, over the next 30 days, I did look at the job listings and I applied at a few different jobs. I even went on a few interviews, but nothing came about. And these were jobs that I interviewed for that I was more than capable of doing, fully trained actually for them. But what I determined, what I thought about was just that I think I had two strikes against me. Number one was my age. I was an older person returning to the workforce, okay? And even though they will say, that an employer will say, no, there's no age discrimination, there is. And number two is I had previous experience in doing the same type of work that I was applying at other places for. And at the hospital, you do get wage credit. And these jobs probably did not want to pay somebody as much as they would have had to pay me. They preferred to go and get somebody that was just starting out and pay much less. I just went and turned the light on because we're having a rainy day here and it's got kind of dark as it's storming again. So let me see how far I can get here. It's pouring down outside. But anyway, let's see, where was I? Because after so many interviews, I just thought, you know what, enough is enough. My husband really didn't want me to go back to work, and I wasn't getting any job offers, even though I was interviewing for jobs that I was very well qualified for. So I just decided I was not going to continue seeking employment. And I contacted HR and I told the rep my decision, and that was that. I was no longer employed with the healthcare system. So it was entirely my decision ultimately not to seek employment, and basically not even to return to work in Lake Mary at that office. I didn't need to work really. It was just the fact that I wanted to work. I felt that I still had a lot to give yet, and I was still able to work, you know. So I wanted to, but it just wasn't meant to be. I do still feel, though, that I was robbed of the opportunity to work. And I put that fault on the manager at that Lake Mary practice, I really do. Because she knew what was happening with C. She knew how C was. She was trying to work with her. And yeah, she may have changed her, I don't know, because evidently this has happened in the past. And I was told that it had happened in the past by other coworkers there. When it started happening to me, they just said, that's just the way C is, you know, you just kind of have to overlook it, it'll pass, you know. But no matter what, yes, I do fault the manager, because she knew there was a problem with that person. I can't believe that she thought that she had solved the issue, because it was ongoing with other people in the office before I came there. So she should have called in other help or sent C to somebody for help. That was not done, evidently. So I took the brunt of it, you know, and my reaction was, hey, no, enough. But you know what? Life does go on. I have a wonderful husband. I have a beautiful home. I have Ginger. I'm very content in my life, and I'm happy now. It took me a couple months to get over the fact that I felt so bad that I had to leave a job that I enjoyed doing. It was fun for me, okay? But it did take me a couple of months to find myself again, to find my self-esteem, my self-worth, because that had been knocked down to zero practically. And I did get back to where I should be, and I found myself all over again. I really do believe that C cannot make that same claim. I don't really believe that she is content in her life, that she has a happy life. I think she's a very miserable person. I really do. And I believe that she will continue to bully whoever took my place in that office as well. She'll continue to bully whoever she can. I've paved the way now, made people aware of the situation, not just within that office with the manager who doesn't deal with things, but with HR, that there are problems in that office. and that whoever they hire in to replace me will speak up and let it be known when C starts picking on her. That's what she was doing. Bullying her in the office place, trying to make her do things the way that C wants her to do, type of thing. So, but yes, I really do believe that C will continue to be the bully in the office. She's been that way since she started there. She's cleared house a couple of times, been instrumental in getting rid of people that she figured just didn't meet her standards, really, basically. She was given that much power. So, anyway, hopefully things will be looked at differently in the future, because there definitely is a problem there. And I guess in finishing this up here, I just wanted to tell you that if anyone ever feels like you're working with a workplace bully, or you are being uncomfortable working around a certain individual, definitely don't hesitate. Go to your manager first and discuss the issue with that person. And if nothing is done to alleviate the problem, take it higher. If you go to HR, that's what I would do. And there is such a problem out there. I found that out by doing research on the internet after this all happened to me. But there is such a known problem going on nationwide that bullies in the workplace are becoming more common. And so there's got to be some guidelines instituted in the near future, training to take place regarding that. And hopefully that's not going to be too far down the line in the future. If you're not able to discuss the issue with anybody, or you don't see any satisfaction from talking it over with somebody, then it's time for you to move on. So you either transfer to another job within that company that you're working for, or you look around for another job, if you can do that, and wait it out, or you just quit. You need to do what's best for you in this circumstance. And if that means just outright quitting, then that's what it is. Okay? It's a hard thing to do, but I know I've been there, done that, and it was the best thing to do for me in this circumstance. Your manager probably won't know what to do to take care of the problem. HR probably won't be trained to handle the issues that you bring forward, to tell them what's going on. But you need to let it be known, because it is a known problem. Most of all, keep in mind that nobody should ever have to put up with 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, torment from another coworker who is a bully in the workplace. Nobody should ever have to live through that. So if it happens to you, don't hesitate to do what's right for you. Okay? So on that note, that's all I have to say. If you have any comments, any questions, just go ahead and make the comments below. I'll answer any questions. And maybe something has happened to you like this in the past and you want to share it, get it out in the open. It's kind of hard, to talk about things like this, but it does help to get it out in the open. Okay? So, anyway, that's about all I have to say on the subject at this time. I hope you're all having a great day out there. You take care. And hey, if you're watching my channel for the first time, I don't always talk this seriously about things, but if you are watching for the first time, come on back, join us again. Be sure and hit that subscribe button on the corner there and come back. I'd love to have you on board. So anyway, you all have a great day out there. Take care, and we'll be chatting again real soon. Bye for now.